Ma'am, I will take care of everything in this house. You can rest. Those were the first words Amanda spoke when she arrived at our gate with a small bag and an even smaller smile. I hired her because she seemed humble, broken even, a single mother who needed help. I wanted to be kind. I wanted to give her a chance. But I didn't know that kindness could be weaponized, that humility could be a costume. I didn't know that while I was building my fashion empire, attending charity galas, and raising my 3 children, Amanda was building something else entirely, a plan to replace me. And she almost succeeded. My husband, George, a billionaire real estate mogul, fell for her act. Not because she was more beautiful, but because she was patient. She studied me, learned my weaknesses, and slowly became everything I wasn't: available, soft-spoken, always present. Before I tell you how it all unraveled, please like and subscribe so you don't miss any of my stories. Comment where you're watching from. I want to know how far this story reaches. Now sit back, relax, and let me show you how a woman who thought she could steal my life ended up losing her own. It was a Tuesday morning when Amanda first appeared at our estate gate. I was rushing out for a meeting, heels clicking against marble, my assistant trailing behind me with folders. The security guard stopped me. "Ma, there's a woman here. She says she's looking for work." I glanced at her through the gate. Mid-30s, thin frame. Eyes that looked like they'd seen too much. She held a faded handbag close to her chest like it contained everything she owned. Maybe it did. "I'm sorry to disturb you, Ma," she said quietly. "I heard you might need help. I can cook, clean, take care of children. Anything." I should have kept walking. I had interviewed 3 candidates already that week, all with references and experience. But something about her desperation tugged at me. Maybe it was the way she stood, shoulders slightly hunched, like life had trained her to make herself smaller. "Do you have references?" I asked. "No, ma. My last madam, she passed away. I've been looking for work since then." No references. No verifiable history. But she had a story, and I had a soft heart. "Come back tomorrow. We'll talk properly." Her face lit up. "Thank you, Ma. God bless you." I drove off, already forgetting about her. I didn't know that in that brief moment, she had already begun studying me. The way I dressed, the way I spoke, the way I barely had time to notice the small things. She saw an opportunity and she took it. Amanda started work the following week. At first, she was everything I needed: efficient, quiet, and visible. She woke before everyone else, prepared breakfast exactly how George liked it, kept the children's schedules organized without being asked. She never complained, never asked for time off, never caused problems. "She's good," Daniel said one evening as we sat in our bedroom. "Better than the last 3 we had." I agreed. For the first 2 months, I was relieved. My fashion label was expanding into 3 new countries, and I needed someone I could trust at home. Amanda seemed like an answer to prayer. But then small things began to shift. She started asking me personal questions. "Ma, you work so hard. Don't you get tired? When do you rest?" At first, I thought she was being considerate. I'd laugh and say, "Rest is for the weak, Amanda. I'll rest when I'm successful." She'd smile sadly. But Ma, you're already successful. The boss needs you here too. The boss? That's what she called George. Never, sir. Always the boss, with a softness that felt too familiar. I noticed she started dressing differently. Nothing dramatic, just slightly better. Her hair, which had been tied back in a simple bun, was now styled. She wore a light perfume. Her uniform fit better. You look nice, I said one morning. She blushed. Thank you, Ma. I just wanted to look presentable. Mr. George friends come here often. I don't want to embarrass you. I should have paid attention to the way she said Mr. George friends. Not your friends. George and I had been married for 12 years. We'd built everything together. His real estate empire, my fashion brand, our 3 children, our reputation. But somewhere between board meetings and school runs, we'd stopped seeing each other. I worked late. He traveled constantly. When we were home together, we were polite, functional, distant. One night, I came home at 10 p.m. from a Fashion Week event. The house was quiet. I expected George to be asleep, but when I walked past the kitchen, I saw them. George was sitting at the island laughing. Amanda was standing across from him, hands folded, smiling shyly. A plate of curry rice sat between them. You're back, Daniel said, straightening slightly. Yes, I replied. What's going on? Nothing. I was hungry. Amanda made food. I looked at her. She looked down immediately. Should I warm something for you, Ma? No. Eva eaten. I walked upstairs, but something felt wrong. It wasn't the food. It wasn't even the laughter. It was the ease between them. The comfort. Like they'd done this before. That night, I couldn't sleep. I lay beside George, staring at the ceiling, replaying the scene in my head. Do you think Amanda is appropriate? I asked. What do you mean? I don't know. Something feels off. George sighed. You're being paranoid. She's just doing her job. Maybe I was. Or maybe my instincts were screaming something my mind wasn't ready to accept yet. Either way, I let it go. That was my first mistake. Over the next few months, Amanda embedded herself deeper into our lives. She wasn't just a maid anymore. She was a presence. She anticipated George's needs before he voiced them. His coffee was always ready. His shirts were always pressed. When he had a rough day, she was the one who asked, "Boss, are you okay?" And I was absent, traveling for work, managing crisis after crisis, always on my phone. When I was home, I was exhausted. I stopped asking George about his day. I stopped noticing. Amanda noticed everything. One evening, I came home to find her sitting with the children, helping them with homework. My youngest, Sarah, was laughing at something Amanda said. Mama. Sarah called when she saw me, but she didn't run to me. She stayed beside Amanda. How was your day? Amanda asked warmly, standing up. Busy, I said flatly. Where's George? In his study. He said not to disturb him. I went upstairs and knocked on his study door. No answer. I opened it anyway. He was on a call, his back to me. When he saw me, he mouthed, "I'm busy." I closed the door. Downstairs, Amanda had already put the children to bed. She was wiping down the kitchen counter, humming softly. "Thank you, Amanda," I said. She smiled. "It's my job, Ma." But it wasn't just her job anymore. She was filling the spaces I'd left empty. And George, whether he realized it or not, was letting her. I don't know exactly when it started. Maybe it was gradual. Small conversations that became longer, glances that became meaningful, boundaries that dissolved 1 inch at a time. Or maybe it was sudden, a single moment of weakness that spiraled into betrayal. All I know is that 6 months after Amanda arrived, my husband was no longer mine. I found out by accident. I came home early one afternoon, something I rarely did. The house was quiet. Too quiet. I called out for Amanda. No response. I walked upstairs. George's bedroom door, our bedroom door, was slightly open. I pushed it wider. They were on the bed. Not naked, but close enough. Amanda was sitting beside him, her hand on his chest. He was holding her wrist, his eyes closed. They weren't having sex, but it was worse somehow. It was intimate. "George." They jumped apart. Amanda's face went pale. George stood up, hands raised like he'd been caught committing a crime. Which he had. "It's not what it looks like," he said. I laughed. A cold, bitter sound. "It never is it?" Amanda was crying now. "Ma, I'm sorry. I didn't mean." "Get out," I said quietly. She hesitated. "Get out," I screamed. She ran. George and I stood in silence. The room felt suffocating. Finally he spoke. "I don't know how it happened." "You don't know?" I repeated. "You don't know how you ended up in bed with the maid?" "It just happened." That was the moment I realized. I hadn't just lost my husband. I'd lost myself. I didn't file for divorce immediately. Not because I forgave him, but because I needed to think clearly. I moved into the guest wing of the house. I stopped speaking to George unless it concerned the children. And Amanda? She was gone. I fired her that same day, giving her 1 hour to pack and leave. But George didn't let her go far. Within a week, I discovered he'd rented her an apartment in an estate. He was paying her bills, buying her clothes, treating her like a mistress he was proud of. My friends started whispering. My mother called horrified. "What is happening in your marriage?" I didn't have an answer. Then one day my lawyer called. "There's something you need to know." Amanda was pregnant. The words hit me like a physical blow. I sat down, the room spinning. "She's claiming it's George's," the lawyer continued. "She's asking for child support, a settlement." I called George immediately. "Is it true?" Silence. "George, is she pregnant?" "Yes." I hung up. That night, I made a decision. I would not be the woman who stayed quiet, who accepted humiliation. I would fight back. Not for George. He was already lost. But for myself, for my children, for every woman who'd been replaced by someone they'd trusted. I hired a private investigator. And what he uncovered wasn't just an affair. It was a calculated, long-planned scheme. Amanda wasn't a victim. She was a predator. And she'd done this before. The investigator's report was damning. Amanda's real name was Charlotte. She wasn't a widow. She'd never been married. The child she claimed to have? A fabrication. She'd worked in 4 wealthy households over the past 6 years, and in 3 of them, she'd had affairs with the husbands. In 2 cases, she'd extracted large settlements by threatening to go public. She was a professional homewrecker. I presented the evidence to George in his lawyer's office. I watched his face crumble as he read the report. This can't be real. It is, I said coldly. You didn't fall for a broken woman. You fell for a con artist. He looked broken. I'm sorry. Sorry doesn't fix this. But the real reckoning came when Amanda discovered I knew. She tried to disappear, but I'd already frozen the accounts George had opened for her. When she showed up at our gate, screaming, security turned her away. The pregnancy? A lie. She'd never been pregnant. It was a final attempt at leverage. Within weeks, Amanda Charlotte was gone. No apartment, no money, no George. She'd overplayed her hand, and karma was swift. As for George and me, it took time. Therapy, hard conversations, rebuilding trust brick by brick. He'd betrayed me, but I realized I'd abandoned our marriage long before Amara arrived. A year later, we renewed our vows. Not because the past was erased, but because we chose to fight for what we'd built. And Amanda? I heard she tried the same scheme in another city. This time, she wasn't so lucky. She got caught. And this time, she went to prison. Justice, it seemed, had found her address. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe. Beyond the Scripted.